TV18.
Hello, welcome to CNBC TV18. I'm Parikshit Luthra. Let's go straight to the top story of the day. Days after taking over Twitter, Elon Musk has started bringing in changes at the social media platform. Reports suggest verified Twitter users with a blue tick could be charged $20 per month. This is in sync with Musk's plans to ease the reliance on advertising and move to a subscription-based model. Silvana Henao gets us more on the big changes that we can expect going forward.
Busy it has been for Elon Musk because he's denying reports he's planning to lay off Twitter employees prior to November 1st to avoid stock grants due to staffers that day. Now, the New York Times reported over the weekend Musk ordered the cuts across the company, with some teams getting hit harder than others, and that layoffs would take place before November 1st, when employees were scheduled to receive stock grants as part of their compensation package. Elsewhere, Elon Musk says Twitter is revising its user verification process without giving additional details. But according to multiple reports, Twitter is considering charging users for the blue check mark at $4.99 a month, with one report saying the fee could be as high as $19.99 a month. This forcing users to pay up for verification may be coming at just the right time as advertisers begin to rethink their future plans to work with Twitter. Late Friday, General Motors said it's temporarily halting paid advertising on the platform as it, quote, engages with Twitter to understand the direction of the platform under new ownership. And speaking of new directions, Elon Musk is also considering bringing back Vine. That's the viral short video app shut down by Twitter back in 2016 as a possible TikTok competitor. Musk polling followers on the idea and already garnering more than 1.6 million votes.
All right, we will continue tracking all the developments at Twitter after Elon Musk took over. But for the moment, let's shift focus to the United Kingdom. Rishi Sunak, who took over the reins of the UK government from Liz Truss, faces an uphill task. One, UK is currently grappling with the 40-year high inflation, with mortgage rates rising and the economy sliding towards a recession. However, Sunak is yet to unveil any financial action plan to steer the nation towards stability. Sanjay Suri gets us more.
The big challenge for Rishi Sunak is, of course, the economy, and that is the reason he's there as Prime Minister. It was the belief of his Conservative Party members in Parliament that he is the best person to deal with that, or to fix it, to use a favourite Rishi Sunak expression. That challenge is gigantic. The economy sliding into a recession, inflation rising above 10%, estimated by some to cross 18% by the end of next year. Mortgage payments up as a result of interest rate rises, wage freezes, strikes to unblock that, and then spending cuts. That will mean job cuts. And to cap all this, a demand that he produces something to show growth in the UK economy. Is not clear yet exactly what he will do. So far, we've had very little detail from Rishi Sunak on his plan ahead. Some broad strokes of reassurance with some warning that people will need to tighten up, but not very much more than that. A financial plan to spell all this out has now been postponed to November the 17th. The second time this has been postponed, itself a measure of just how difficult this is going to be.
All right, let's focus on Brazil now, which has been making global headlines. Lula da Silva is back at the helm of Brazilian politics, 4 years after he was imprisoned on corruption charges and shunned into political wilderness. The leftist veteran politician has voted out the far-right Jair Bolsonaro in a runoff presidential election. Abhishek Datta Roy and Kiran Khatri get us this story.
Que quer salário igual ao hobby é deve ter da mesma função.
Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva, the firebrand leftist leader and former two-time president, will be getting yet another shot at the top office of Latin America's largest economy. This after he defeated his rival and incumbent Brazilian president Jair Bolsonaro in a runoff in what was the culmination of perhaps the most polarizing election campaign. As per the country's election authority, Lula secured 50.8% of the votes compared to Bolsonaro's 49.2%. Lula's rise to power marks a stunning political resurrection. The former president was sentenced to 22 years in jail in 2018 on corruption and money laundering charges, barring him from running from office. His conviction was later overturned. He has vowed to rebuild Brazil from what he calls the irresponsible and criminal administration of the far-right incumbent Bolsonaro. He has promised a return to state-driven economic growth.
Esta não é uma vitória minha nem do PT.
This isn't a victory of mine or the Workers' Party, nor the parties that supported me in campaigns. It's the victory of a democratic movement that formed above political parties, personal interests and ideologies, so that democracy came out victorious.
Ideologias para que a democracia saísse vencedora.
Bolsonaro, during his tempestuous 4-year tenure, received widespread criticism for his handling of the COVID pandemic, his efforts to undermine democratic institutions, and the surging deforestation in the Amazon. He remains the first ever incumbent president in Brazil's modern democratic history to lose a re-election. He would, however, draw solace from the fact that he still remains an icon amidst the far right, the evangelicals, the business, and framing lobbies. That's not all. The Brazil's National Congress is dominated by right-wing lawmakers who may act as a bulwark for Lula's policies in the future.
All right, the election in Brazil will be watched very, very closely. But now to a big development that is coming in from the Indian financial sector. The Reserve Bank of India has announced that it will commence the first pilot of the digital rupee in the wholesale segment tomorrow. That is the 1st of November. Meanwhile, the pilot for the retail segment will follow a month later. Ritu Singh joins us now. Ritu, what are the use cases of this pilot?
Well, firstly, it is starting the 1st November when the Reserve Bank of India will launch the first pilot of this much-awaited digital rupee in the wholesale segment, and within a month, it'll also commence the first pilot for the retail segment. But the use cases that you speak of, those are going to be very specific. The use case for the pilot on wholesale e-rupee is going to be for settlement of secondary market transactions in the government security market. This is expected to make the interbank market more efficient, and RBI says settlement in the central bank money is going to reduce transaction costs by preempting the need for settlement guarantee infrastructure or for collateral to mitigate settlement risk. Now, going forward, other wholesale transactions, cross-border payments, those are going to be the focus of the future pilots, RBI says, based on the learnings from this pilot that is going to launch tomorrow. 9 banks are going to participate in this. This includes SBI, Bank of Baroda, HDFC, ICICI Bank, and other public and private sector banks. Now, this is as far as the wholesale e-rupee is concerned. The first pilot of the digital retail segment rupee is planned for a launch within a month's time, but this is going to be in select locations in a closed user group, which will comprise of customers and merchants. But before I sign off, the digital rupee is not to be confused with cryptocurrencies, which of course RBI remains vehemently opposed to. It has expressed serious concerns about cryptocurrencies, saying they don't have underlying value and they're essentially just speculative in nature. This CBDC, or the digital rupee, is just the digital form of what is the sovereign currency and has the unique advantages that the rupee today has, that is safety, liquidity, settlement finality, and most importantly, trust, something that the cryptocurrency doesn't.
All right. Thank you very much, Ritu Singh, for joining us with that big story. Let's move on now. With just 3 months to go for the union budget, the tax department is taking measures to augment revenue. Sources tell us that direct and indirect tax officials have asked field formations to refocus efforts on collections. We also learned from sources that the GST collection for October are likely to be over 1.5 lakh crore rupees. Timsi Jaipuria is here with details. Timsi, what are you picking up from your sources when it comes to revenue augmentation?
Well, ahead of union budget, tax department has stepped up revenue augmentation measures. According to sources, both the wings of the revenue department, that is the CBDT and CBIC, they've asked field formations to refocus efforts on tax collections. Sources shared that the chiefs of both the boards have asked their teams to ensure sharing weekly updates ahead of budget discussions for revised estimates. In terms of what are the specific asks, they've included that as second half of the current fiscal begins, revenue augmentation should be the focus. Enhanced tax base, especially covering the new economy taxpayers, digital platforms that are avoiding taxes, online gaming and cryptocurrency sectors. Focus on completion of pending investigations, non-intrusive and non-coercive measures to ensure taxpayers file their returns, pay taxes in time, disposal of seized items including precious metals, plug loopholes, improve compliances, ensure efforts to improve taxpayers' user experience for online filing is being made. Remember, the budget estimates set for direct taxes stands at 14.2 lakh crore rupees, and for indirect taxes it was set at 13.37 lakh crore rupees. However, healthy queues and collections in the first half of the current fiscal have made Revenue Department often express confidence that they will be able to exceed the budget targets. Let's see whether government revises the tax estimates or not. Back to you.
All right. Thanks very much, Timsi, for joining us with that quite important story. We're going to take a short break at this time, but coming up, Rajiv Chandrasekhar, Minister of State at the Electronics and Information Technology Ministry, reiterates that Twitter would be expected to adhere to the same set of rules even under Elon Musk. Says that the new IT rules are more about ensuring accountability. That's coming up. Don't go anywhere. Time now for a CNBC-TV18 exclusive. Rajiv Chandrasekhar, the Minister of State at the Electronics and Information Technology Ministry, has reiterated that Twitter would be expected to adhere to the same set of rules even under Elon Musk. In a conversation with Ashmit Kumar, Chandrasekhar refutes allegations that the new IT rules is against free speech, clarifies that it has got more to do with accountability. He also justifies the setting up of a grievance panel to address complaints against social media companies.
Everything that the Narendra Modi ji government is doing towards the internet, and we are doing a lot in the tech and the internet space, is aimed around creating a policy framework that has three boundary conditions. Openness, that we want the internet to be always open, and that so every one of our 1.2 billion Indians has to be able to access the internet without any exclusion or market power being distracting them. We want safety and trust on the internet, and we want as importantly as the first two, accountability. These are almost principles for us. And on the accountability bit, in May 2021, the rules specified that every intermediary or every platform must appoint a grievance officer, and that the grievance officer would be the mechanism to create accountability between a digital Nagrik, a consumer, and his or her relationship with the platform. Unfortunately, that accountability solution, which is the grievance officer, has not worked. And as a matter of fact, it has not just not worked. A lot of platforms have given short shrift to it and made it very token. In a sense, they've appointed somebody, but the person is either not available or he's like a placeholder, as in a person who's there just there naam ke vaste. So we felt in the learnings in the last 1 year and through public consultations over the last 4 months that the accountability objective that the government has towards our citizens is not been fulfilled. And therefore we have in these rules, one of the three big amendments is about creating a grievance appellate committee, which would effectively mean that platforms who deliberately or wittingly or unwittingly not address the grievance issue, the citizens have a way of coming and appealing to a grievance appellate committee.
Just looking at the mechanics of the GSE though, you mentioned that this will act as a stick for social media intermediaries to be aware that to have that principle of accountability, like you said. But just looking at it in terms of the sheer mechanics of it, we're dealing with crores and crores of social media users. Will the GSE be able to support so many grievances?
If the intermediaries take it to heart that it is a partnership between government and intermediaries where accountability relationship between the user and the platform is something that is a non-negotiable ask from the people who use their platforms, then if those grievance officers or the grievance addressal mechanism that platforms have start functioning, then there is limited appeals that are required to the GSE. So you are thinking of a scenario when the status quo of intermediaries not doing their duty, not doing what is asked of them continues. And I think that is not in my mind or in our government's mind a scenario that we think is going to happen as a consequence of these rules. We think as a consequence of these rules, as a consequence of what is going to be a partnership between India, the Indian government and the intermediaries, both Indian and foreign, that we will create a much more heightened awareness amongst intermediaries to the objective of accountability.
So I'll just ask a broader question, and this would be my final question on the GSE. One criticism that we've seen from the draft stage of the amended rules is that, look, this is a government-appointed committee that will in turn give the government the power to moderate content on social media. Questions on free speech are being raised. Are these valid concerns?
No, they are not valid concerns at all. And like I said, if the self-regulatory model that we have implemented in May 2021, which is that intermediaries and platforms do their grievance addressal on their own, if that works, there is no need for the government to get involved. No need for the GSE to get involved. So therefore, this is not a content moderation exercise at all. This is pure and simple mechanism of natural justice for those consumers who are feeling that their platforms are ignoring them and ignoring their grievances. It is a process of escalation. So, and like I said, on the details of how the GSE will function, the transparency, the fact that it does not infringe on areas of the IT Act and the law, those are all things that we will lay out as a terms of reference when we are ready.
As Elon Musk would say, it's still sinking in, that takeover that we saw. Along with this takeover, of course, there are new dynamics that come to the brand Twitter. Elon Musk reportedly has said that he's very clear. He believes in absolute freedom of speech, and he will be doing his bit to advance that agenda of having a platform with absolute.
No, look, I have said this. So I don't want to comment specifically on his views or his assuming his ownership of Twitter. I have said that the government of India, our expectations and our duty to our citizens remains intact, remains consistent, regardless of who owns company A or company B. Our expectations are of openness, safety and trust and accountability. And I hope that those expectations are expectations that are aligned to companies who do business in India. And if they don't, they have to align to those expectations. So our ask is very simple. Our ask is telegraphed extensively through conversations like this that we are having. And we don't think of this as in some ideological battlefield. The internet is not an ideology, it's not a battlefield where the left and right duel over their ideology. This is a cyberspace where billions and billions of people work. They earn their living, they create investments, they create jobs for themselves. And so our objective is to make sure that the internet for these 1.2 billion Indians remains safe and trusted and accountable. And we will be unrelenting on that ask and expectation. And we look forward to working in partnership with all the intermediaries to achieve that goal.
All right, that was Mr. State for IT in conversation exclusively with my colleague Ashmit Kumar. Let's move on and get you another big exclusive newsmaker. 2 days before the Global Investment Summit in Karnataka, the state's Chief Minister Basavaraj Bommai is confident that investors will be keen to invest in the state. Speaking to Ritu Singh, he said that Karnataka is competing with Silicon Valley and not with other Indian states. He also added that the Global Investment Summit in Karnataka is different as it does not focus on signing Memorandum of Understanding, but bringing serious investment. He believes the state can clear investment amounting to 1.5 lakh crore rupees within a month. Here's a slice of that conversation.
This summit is totally different from the previous. Number one, this summit is not about MOU. It is beyond MOU. We have already approved more than 3.5 lakh crores of projects before coming on November 2nd to the summit. These MOUs were signed previous months, and they have applied for our state level, high-level committee, identifying their products, process, technology, then the land, electricity, everything. We have considered them and we have approved them. So we are not issuing them MOU certificate, but we are issuing them investment certificate. So more than 3.5 lakhs is already we have cleared, and these are commitment. And another 1.5 lakhs which has already been there, we will clear it in 1 month. So this is a difference between the previous summits. Here we are looking for a serious players, not MOU players. We are not interested. And this summit is a very, very serious economic affair for us.
What is your message to the investors if I were to ask you why should they invest in Karnataka? What are some of the initiatives that a state has taken, land, labour, capital, all included?
See, I'll tell you. Karnataka is one of the most technologically advanced state. As I said, the niche area technology is here. We have got highest number of R&D centers here. 400 world-renowned niche R&D centers are here. Right from genomics to the aerospace, you name it, it is there. Which no other state or a city in the world boasts of. Daily, more than 10,000 experts, engineers, scientists, researchers land up in Bangalore, in international airport. That speaks of volume of R&D turnout what we are doing. And it has been established over a period of 50-60 years. So we are very strong in innovation and technology. So people are seeking technology, if people are seeking innovation, then highest number of startups are here. Countries, 60% of startups are here. And countries, 50% of unicorns are here. Out of 4 decacorns, 3 are in Bangalore. That speaks volume of the opportunities and the science and technology and human resources, skilled human resources, which is very important aspect for any industry to come.
You know, a lot of states are also wooing investors saying, we have an available land bank, come here and start. So, you know, what are the plans on that front?
I wish them well first.
Yeah.
See, I welcome a healthy competition, number one. But my competition is not with the other states. We are far ahead. My competition is with the Silicon Valley and other international things. Second thing is, it is not just the land building which makes up the industry. As I have already said, technology, highly skilled human resources, and a very good cosmopolitan culture. So all this counts.
That was Basavaraj Bommai, the Karnataka Chief Minister, speaking to Ritu Singh just ahead of the Global Investment Summit in Karnataka. With that, it's a wrap. We will be back with more news and updates on the other side.